New York Times reported Tuesday that shortly after 9/11, the White House met several times with a delegation of high-level media executives, including the heads of every major studio, in order to discuss how the entertainment industry could play a part in improving the image of the United States overseas. We're going to go ahead and go to the phones. We got a phone call. You're on the Real News.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Dr. Roberts was talking about and you guys were talking about the 20,000 military or so by, what was that, 2010 or so being in the country?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if any of y'all realized, saw the article on InfoWars here in the past couple days, and it was on the Daily Poll also about a family with young toddlers and infants being held at gunpoint by a SWAT team for about 9 hours in Ohio. They ran a business out of their home, like a food supply business, long-term storage foods and organic foods. And nobody really knows why quite yet. There was a warrant, and the warrant was for a Class 3 misdemeanor, which is operating a retail store out of your home. It's like the lowest misdemeanor. And these SWAT teams, along with some kind of a USDA agent, came barging into their house and interrogated them, never charged them with anything or anything. And these little 5- and 6-year-olds having fully automatic M16 weapons held in their faces for like 9 or 10 hours. It's a pretty big deal. And they've got the sheriff's number is up, and a lot of people want to get to the bottom of this, and they think it's like a rogue USDA inspector agent. Part of the article says that they think they were put on the radar because a college student was searched a couple years earlier, and a steak was in his freezer, and all this money and everything going back to, because this steak may have come from this Manna storehouse people. So it's like we are under attack by our own government. And not only that, but the SWAT team and these people took $10,000 worth of their foods and their own family's personal. They had a year's supply for themselves and stole it too. And took things that weren't even on the search warrant. This is just incredible what's going on here. So I would encourage everybody out there to get informed a little bit and go and read this article on InfoWars or on the Daily Poll. It's all over the place. And, what's going on. It's a rogue criminal government that we have right now, that these SWAT guys will actually obey the orders to go in there and raid this family for a Class 3 misdemeanor. We're using SWAT teams for like a $50 fine. This is I'm just livid over the whole thing. So
it's all
I don't
over.
know if you guys have heard about it or not.
It's all over the place except the mainstream media.
This is what tyrants get away with when people say nothing. When good people do nothing, as Edmund Burke once said, evil triumphs. And this is precisely what is happening. Evil is on the warpath here, and they are extraordinarily successful because good people refuse to do anything. And that's why we're here. This is why the Real here every week is to expose these criminal elements, these tyrants, for the evil that they truly are.
And give people the news that the mainstream media refuses to publish and to allow the people to know. That's why when we have candidates or politicians anymore in the area, we're going to go ask them the questions that our media refuses to ask, the real questions.
Well, I hope they wake up, because it appears that the government has their crosshairs on us and on our food supply. They want total control. They don't want you to be able to feed yourself or stock food up or whatever. And they're going to show, hey, we got the guns, we got the manpower, we've got the mindless idiots that will obey these orders, these fools that will obey these orders and go out and hold babies hostage in their houses and take their foods. This is outrageous. And I hope people wake up and put 1 and 1 together and don't come up with 3 or 5, but it's 2. So that's my point today. I'll get off of here and I want to hear some other callers. I really appreciate you guys, and I'll tune in next week, and I will tune in. I understand that you're going to be on another radio station here later on.
We are going to be on the RTR radio network from 12 to 2 today, so we will be doing that. And if you will email us that story, we will put that on our website. Email it to us at onair@therealnewsradio.com, and we'll post it on our website. And I appreciate you calling in. Call in again, and we're going to go on with some news.
All right. Well, I appreciate y'all, and I'll be tuning in next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Again, to finish up this story, and if you'd like to call in, the phone number is 704-873-1400. Davie County number 336-499-0681. I was unaware of that story. Brian said he had read it. Unbelievable. But call in. Would like to get your comments. To finish this, Carl Rove, attended at least one of the meetings. One of the participants in the meeting, former RIAA Chairwoman Hillary Rosen, says Rove put pressure on them to produce propaganda. The former chairwoman of the Recording Industry Association of America, who was also present at the post-9/11 meeting, said Mr. Rove and other White House officials were looking for the kind of support Hollywood gave the United States during World War II. They wanted the music industry, the movie industry, the TV industry to produce propaganda, she said. Rove was putting a lot of pressure on us. This is not the real news saying this. This was New York Times this past Tuesday. So as we know now, the Pentagon has a program forcing media in Iraq to produce favorable stories toward the U.S. invasion, feeding the people of Iraq their version of the news. Apparently our government was doing the exact same thing to us here in America. Further proof of our controlled media. Does that come as any surprise to you, Brian? Was you aware of that story?
I also saw that earlier in the week, and I mean, it's absolutely no surprise to me whatsoever. I mean, it's extraordinarily obvious, the manipulation, the propaganda, mainstream media, of course their interconnections with upper echelons of the tyrants in charge. I'd like to read an article I have here, take this opportunity to do so, and before I read it I just want to say I've celebrated reading this article by canceling my cable television. Television May Be Doing Your Thinking by Lynn Berry, thenaturalnews.com. The world's biggest leisure activity is watching television, not walking or reading, not playing games with our children, not engaging with others in outdoor activities. Most of us like to think that television has absolutely no effect on how we think or what we do. We believe that it's a way to relax. Many of us may be surprised to know that television is a controlling medium, relaxing us enough to switch off our analytical brain, the left side of our brain, so we uncritically, unlogically process the information beaming from the television. This means we are less able to make decisions or judgments about what we hear on television. Our brains undergo a similar process under hypnosis. The similarity between hypnosis and the effects of watching television is unveiled in Dr. Eric Sigmund's book called Remotely Controlled. Sigmund describes hypnosis as an altered state of consciousness, a form of sleepwalking where our mind is influenced by the hypnotist or practitioner. Under hypnosis, people become more open to suggestions of the practitioner, and this happens as we are asked to refrain from being critical and being relaxed. As we do this, the frontal lobe of our brain alters, becoming less connected with the brain, so that we just switch it off. Hypnosis effectively causes a change in the brain so that we use the right side of our brain, which of course we switch off the left side of our brain, which is involved in critical thinking. While hypnosis may be considered an extreme or unusual solution to certain conditions, it only takes 30 seconds for us to be in a similar state when we watch television. Such are the findings of Professor Herbert Krugman in a study conducted in 1971. His conclusion was that we do not think about the information being transmitted via television. In other words, the way television communicates is a form of brainwashing.